So just what was so great about the year 2001 anyway? Well, 2001 was the year a global tragedy rewrote the rules of being American, the year some of the most beloved films in history hit theaters, the year technology quietly started rewiring everyday life, and the first full year of a new millennium that nobody was ready for. 2001 was a year you did not want to miss, and we're still living in its aftermath. Welcome to RetroChronica, where history, pop culture, and the moments you forgot actually get the deep dive they deserve. Today, we're covering some of the biggest political, cultural, and tech moments that defined 2001, the ones that made headlines and the ones that quietly rewired everyday life without anyone noticing. We do the research, we tell the story, and we make sure you actually remember it. And stay until the end, because we're closing out with 2001's most iconic films, the ones you watch on repeat and probably still forgot came out that year. But let's start with the event that changed the face of modern America forever and touched every corner of the world. It's Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. The morning commute is happening, kids are getting to school, and the news is on in the background. Everything is completely, totally normal. And then, at 8:46 a.m., it isn't.
It's something like a 727, and it was banking, and the only reason banking very hard, and then it just drove right through the World Trade Center tower.
American Airlines Flight 11 strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center, and 17 minutes later, United Flight 175 hits the South Tower. The entire country is watching it happen live on television. A third plane hits the Pentagon. A fourth crashes in a Pennsylvania field after passengers on board decided to fight back against the hijackers themselves. 2,977 people are killed, the single deadliest terrorist attack in American history. But the attack doesn't just end with the towers.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors.
The global response is immediate. The war on terror erupts, and within 45 days, the USA Patriot Act is signed into law, and it's one of the most expansive surveillance bills ever passed on American soil. Before 2001, TSA checkpoints, full-body scans, and the phrase national security threat weren't part of everyday life. And the conversation around what freedom, safety, and privacy actually mean in America, it completely shifts. And it hasn't stopped shifting since. 9/11 didn't just change a skyline. It changed who Americans understood themselves to be and how they thought about safety, about surveillance, about belonging, and who actually gets to feel protected in this country. And honestly, we're still working that out. But let's shift gears, because while all of this was happening, 2001 was also quietly building the technological foundation for the exact life you're living right now. And I mean that literally. This was the year tech stopped being something you sat down at a desk to use and started being something you carried with you everywhere. 2001 marked the true rise of the digital age, and it happened at a series of moments that, one by one, changed everything. Starting at the top of the year on January 15th, 2001, Wikipedia launches and shifts how we consume information forever.
In the grand arc of human knowledge, few symbols stand as proudly as the encyclopedia, a testament to humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding.
Before Wikipedia, an encyclopedia could cost thousands of dollars. Knowledge was gated behind institutions, behind paywalls, and behind physical books that most people couldn't access or afford. The idea that all of human knowledge should just exist freely for everyone with an internet connection was genuinely radical. But Wikipedia didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was actually born out of a failed experiment. Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger had previously tried to build Nupedia, a peer-reviewed, expert-edited online encyclopedia. In its first 6 months, Nupedia published exactly 2 articles. 2. Wikipedia flipped that model entirely. Anyone could write, anyone could edit, and by the end of its first year alone, Wikipedia had over 20,000 articles in 18 languages. By 2006, a million. And today, over 6.8 million articles in over 300 languages, all free and all open. That's the world Wikipedia built, and it started on January 15th, 2001. That same month, Steve Jobs and Apple released iTunes. You can now buy a catalog of music without leaving your couch.
And you've got to work seamlessly with the most popular MP3 player on the market, iPod. And we have a lot of resources we've brought to bear. As I mentioned, we have been delivering video, largest movie trailer site in the world. We know how to move oceans of bits. We own the best of only a handful of popular jukeboxes in the world. We don't know any other company that has these assets under one roof. And so as others try to do this, we know at this point only Apple could have created.
And here's the thing, the music industry in 2001 was already in crisis. Napster had already happened, peer-to-peer file sharing was rampant, and people were downloading music for free, and the labels were watching their revenue collapse in real time. Their 2001 annual report would call it, quote, a turbulent year. But iTunes offered something different. Legal digital music, purchased by the song for 99 cents. Without leaving your couch, without buying the whole album just for one track you actually wanted. The music industry had a full meltdown about it, and rightfully so, because it worked. And on October 23rd, the first iPod hit shelves. Steve Jobs walks out on stage and says 6 words that will change an entire industry. Quote, 1,000 songs in your pocket.
The coolest thing about iPod is that your entire music library fits in your pocket. Never before possible. So that's iPod. There are 3 major breakthroughs in iPod. Let's take a look at each one of them. The first one is it's ultra portable.
The iPod wasn't technically the first MP3 player. There had been others, but it was the first one that actually made sense. With a 5 GB hard drive and with a click wheel, a 10-hour battery, and those now iconic white earbuds that made iPod users instantly recognizable in public.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It launched just 6 weeks after September 11th, 2001. Into a nation that was grieving, anxious, and deeply unsettled. And somehow, it still became the biggest surprise consumer hit of the decade. Because music, it turns out, is exactly what people reach for when the world feels like too much.
You may have been wondering what this draped device was here. This is the Xbox. And so, for the first time, let me now unveil Xbox.
On November 15th, Microsoft launches the Xbox gaming system. Before 2001, gaming had always been there, but the Xbox marked a specific shift. This wasn't a toy. It was a console that could compete with anything Sony had, with graphics and multiplayer capability that rewired what a generation expected from entertainment.
Halo Combat Evolved was a semi-important title in the history of the gaming industry. The title almost single-handedly carried the original Xbox upon release, helping to shape the platform as the FPS gamer's first choice. The 2001 Game of the Year winner is the game that helped to shape modern console gaming and multiplayer experience. It was the life and blood of the Xbox. If Halo was not an Xbox exclusive, or if it was just on the PC, then the Xbox most likely would have failed.
Halo specifically became a cultural event. People weren't just playing it, they were talking about it, obsessing over it, and building communities around it. And you can draw a direct line from Halo Combat Evolved to the way gaming culture operates today. And while all of that was happening, something else was quietly evolving in your pocket. Mobile phones evolved in 2001.
At the school gate, on the way home, evidence of the text messaging craze is everywhere. The phone makers never expected it to take off. It was teenagers who decided this was the way to keep in touch.
SMS text messaging, which had been around since 1992 as a niche feature, exploded. By 2001, texting was going mainstream in a way nobody had predicted, with billions of messages being sent globally. Camera phones also became more and more of a reality. The idea that your phone could take and send a photograph was still being treated as a novelty, something tech reporters wrote about with barely contained skepticism. And yet, within a few years, it would completely reshape how we document our lives, how we share moments, how news gets broken. Every photo you've taken on your phone, every Instagram post, every FaceTime screenshot, it traces back to this moment. And because 2001 was full of innovation, the dot-com bubble is also bursting in real time.
Might as well have been an alarm, so savage was the selling. In percentage terms, it had less impact than the crash of '87, but it still left traders and investors shell-shocked.
Saw it, didn't you? It was down some.
Why? How come?
I don't know.
The late 90s had been a gold rush. Companies raised hundreds of millions of dollars on a logo and a dream, and sometimes nothing else. The NASDAQ had peaked in March 2000 at over 5,000. By 2001, it was in freefall. Companies like Pets.com, Cosmo.com, and Webvan, which had seemed untouchable just months before, were imploding overnight. By 2001, an estimated $5 trillion in market value had disappeared. Investors started calling failed .coms, quote, dot bombs. Hundreds of companies shut down. The grow fast, figure it out later era got its first real, brutal reality check. But here's what's interesting. The crash didn't kill the internet. It actually clarified it. The companies that survived, like Amazon and Google, learned from it. They got leaner, more focused, and they built actual businesses. And the wreckage of the dot-com bust is, in many ways, why the tech industry runs the way it does today. Here's the thing about 2001 and technology. It was the year the internet stopped being somewhere you went and started being something you carried. Wikipedia democratized knowledge, iTunes democratized music, the iPod made your entire library portable, camera phones made documentation instant, and the dot-com crash made the survivors smarter, leaner, and more dangerous. Without 2001, social media wouldn't exist. The streaming model wouldn't exist. The smartphone, which is essentially a supercomputer with a camera that fits in your pocket, wouldn't exist in the form it does today. That foundation was poured in 2001. Now, can we please talk about what 2001 gave us culturally? Because in the middle of everything, the grief, the uncertainty, the economic collapse, the technological upheaval, culture still showed up. Not just showed up, it may have been the most stacked year for film, TV, and music in recent memory. Let's see which ones you remember.
Princess, where are you? Well, at least we know where the princess is. Hey! Oh, no, dead girl, off the table!
On April 22nd, 2001, Shrek comes out of DreamWorks Studios and instantly becomes a beloved anti-fairy tale blockbuster. It made $484 million worldwide, and it won the first ever Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, a category that was literally created for it, because the Academy finally had to acknowledge that animated film had grown up.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
How much longer I can keep this up, Fiona?
I'm sorry, Shrek.
And somehow, 24 years later, Shrek has become one of the most durable meme formats in internet history. That's a cultural footprint that almost no film can claim. Then, on November 10th, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone hit theaters.
Welcome to Hogwarts.
This was the first film adaptation of J.K. Rowling's beloved book series, and it arrived carrying the weight of an entire generation's childhood. It rakes in $975 million at the box office. The books had already created something unusual. Millions of kids who were reading again, voluntarily, for fun, staying up past their bedtimes. Thus, a franchise was born.
And the wait is almost over for fans of Harry Potter.
Fans can't wait.
I've been waiting months, years for it to come.
I'm very attached to the books. The movies are amazing.
Creating one of the most loyal fandoms in the history of entertainment, and people who weren't even alive in 2001 are still discovering this story for the first time and becoming devoted to it. Here were just a few other blockbuster films to come out in 2001.
She can make you lose like 3 pounds in one class.
All you need is love.
Please don't stop that again.
You're late.
I know.
Peekaboo!
I shot it 5 times. You shall not pass!
Moulin Rouge comes out and redefines what a modern musical can look like. Legally Blonde drops and becomes an instant cult classic, a film about taking women seriously that proved beauty and brains could coexist. Monsters, Inc. gave an entire generation a theory about what happens under the bed. The Princess Diaries gave us Anne Hathaway, and Scary Movie 2 reminded us that even in the darkest years, we needed to laugh at something. These are classics people are still watching, still quoting, still recommending 25 years later. And at the same time, reality TV is having its full moment. Survivor is in its 2nd season, Big Brother is running, and The Amazing Race makes its debut. We are deep in the era of watching strangers do things for our entertainment and calling it content. Sound familiar? And here's what's fascinating in retrospect. Reality TV in 2001 was considered kind of lowbrow, a novelty. People kept predicting it would fade out, and instead it laid out the entire conceptual foundation for what we now call creator culture. The parasocial relationships, the audience as community, the ordinary person as compelling subject. And let's not forget the music. On September 11th, 2001, Jay-Z drops The Blueprint, hours before the attacks happened. Think about that for a second. One of the most critically acclaimed hip-hop albums of all time, widely considered one of Jay-Z's masterpieces, drops on the same morning that the world changes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moulin Rouge. You wanna give it a go? Disagree? Well, that's you, and I'm sorry. I'ma keep playing these cats.
And there was more. Christina Aguilera, Lil Kim, Maya, and Pink released Lady Marmalade, the ultimate girl group anthem.
Question, tell me what you think about me.
Destiny's Child gave us Independent Women, Jennifer Lopez dropped Love Don't Cost a Thing, Dido released Thank You, and Alicia Keys released Fallen. This year was stacked, and a lot of it arrived while the country was in pieces. But here's what's most iconic about 2001. It was objectively one of the heaviest years in recent American history, and culture still showed up. Stories still got told, music still got made, and the digital age kicked off, and people still went to the movies. Because culture doesn't just exist to entertain us. It exists to remind us who we are when everything else is uncertain. And in 2001, a year that gave people every reason to go quiet, to go numb, to stop, culture kept going. And we're still here talking about it. So 2001 was full of grief and wonder, disruption and creativity, all in the span of 12 months. It was the year that proved that even when everything falls apart, human beings do what they've always done. They build things, they tell stories, they make music, and they figure out what comes next. So which moment hit hardest for you? Drop it in the comments. We genuinely want to know. And I'll see you in the next one right here on RetroChronica. If you're into this kind of deep dive, the history, the culture, the wait, I didn't know that moments, the RetroChronica channel is exactly where you want to be. Subscribe so you don't miss it when the next video drops.